right. We got David March here. We got Alexander. We're going to talk here today about the uh, really just the whole career landscape, right? What do you?
Yeah,
What would be the topic of today? Just the career landscape.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a good. That encapsulates everything, and then
Yeah.
yeah, the viewers will definitely understand why we've called it that over time.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah. So in terms of like what we've been seeing right now, there's been a lot of competition, right? A lot of people, um, a lot of people applying to positions,
Yeah.
and it's been a crazy job market. Um,
Yes.
and Yeah, what have you been seeing in this market right now with all the influx of candidates and things like that?
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy, to be honest. You start to see a few different things. Firstly, you're starting to see applicants applying for a lot more roles. And when I
Mhm.
say that, say with one organization, they'll apply to 4 or 5 positions,
Mhm.
um, which which kind of maybe may cover like a similar base of skills, so that they could kind of transfer it to other areas. And the reason why they're doing that is because of the high competition. And you're trying to, you know,
Yeah.
create more opportunities for yourself, and you're kind of hedging as many bets as possible. And I completely understand why they do that, but there are definitely other things that you can do to really try and help yourself be more competitive and stand out. But it's easier said than done. So I'll be honest there.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm recently made a post on this, and it's really interesting. There's been some new technology that's come out that you can actually like automate a lot of the application process.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
implications of that are quite interesting because it's like, okay, now we have like instead of 100 people applying for a role, I mean, now you might have like 500 people applying for the same role. Um, and and so many people coming into a position, it's like, how do you almost stand out? And so one of the things that I always talk about is networking,
Yeah.
like networking, building relationships with the people that you're sending these resumes to. Because if you get to a point where just like these technologies, automations, and all these different things like get out of hand, everybody's going to have a resume to every single position, and it's like,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
really stand out?
Well, there's 2 things I'll definitely say. The first on what you mentioned earlier about the new systems in place that are actually taking over some of that kind of review process. They're
Mhm.
AI. AI is
Yeah.
coming into play, and you've got systems that you will send your application, and then it will review the job description and kind of match your profile with
Mhm.
that job description, and then it may put you in certain categories. You are a fantastic candidate A, or first class. You could be moderately okay, you could be not suitable at all. And
Mhm.
because of this model, companies, I think, want lots and lots and lots of applications, because that
Mm.
work is being done for them already in terms of civic, but also it provides them with an opportunity to tweak that model. The artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, then that machine learning element of it, the
Mhm.
the the package, the platform has to understand, you know, are we being biased in terms of
Oh yeah,
the selection
that's a huge
process we're
one.
doing? So you kind of
Yeah.
you're trying to undo some of that bias in that. So yeah, I just thought I'd kind of say that there. But in terms of standing out, well, you are absolutely right, because at the end of the day, even if you've got systems, that will review your profile. At the end of the day, you still got to speak to human beings, and you still
Human beings are the ones.
they're the they're,
Precision is
yeah,
not the machines.
exactly. So it's what humans kind of input into it. So you can bypass this, or not bypass this process, but you can actually add a beautiful step, and that is by creating that network that you have already, and
Mm,
then letting them know about the experience that you have, and what you're interested in as well,
mm,
because that can really get hiring managers' minds to start ticking and thinking, okay, well, this individual is talking about this, and our business is moving into this direction. So maybe they would be very suitable to go forward for this interview, or so forth. So yeah, you're absolutely right in terms of networking piece.
yeah,
Definitely.
totally. Um, and then there's two things there. First thing is, what can also make you stand out is your soft skills, your leadership style, and the your way your management style is. Um, and then also, what I've been seeing recently in my research and in working with clients as a career coach, what I really like is this idea of a kind of a what they call a value validation project,
Okay.
which is essentially like it's a slideshow or it's a PDF or it's a case study that you've done based on market research that you have done on the
Yeah.
company, and then you
Yes.
you send it over to the hiring manager as you're
Yeah.
networking with them, so that shows your competency.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's like, in addition to your resume, a educational resource which can make you stand out and can make you kind of look like the most relevant candidate for the role.
Of course. It's like you're showing them your portfolio of work. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it it gives them, yeah, you're like not a portfolio, but you're showing them your skill set, being able
yes, yeah,
to grab that information and then communicate it in a way, um, that is more than verbal, as well. Because
yeah,
in an interview, most of the time it is verbal, kind of interactions, and obviously you've got a lot of micro expressions and so
yeah,
forth that really come into play. But that's getting into an interview, that's, yeah, that being able to supply something beforehand. You
yeah.
mean business by doing that, you really do.
Yeah, because yeah, you think this is
Yeah.
I really want this position. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, essentially it's like doing like free business consulting for them, in the form of a case study or of whatever, a PDF or some kind of slideshow you've created. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's over and above the resume. I mean, of course, you're always going to have a resume. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
your major talking point when you have an interview. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so you're always going to have a resume, but that adds to it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so now we're kind of transitioning to when you're actually in an interview.
Yeah.
You know, one of the questions that interviewer might ask is, "What's your leadership style?" or
Yes.
"What's
Yeah.
your management style?"
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really important to prepare for these type of answers, because you really want to be as clear and concise in terms of what you're saying. If you're wishy-washy of your answer, then you're kind of showing maybe your management style there. But but yeah, definitely, when you're thinking about leadership style, when you're thinking about kind of management style, I think what I want to hear if I'm interviewing somebody is, I don't know. I'm more of a new leadership style, I will say,
Oh yeah, like
as
yeah,
opposed to the kind of old
yeah,
leadership style.
yeah, the
Um,
new school and old school for sure. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it really, it depends on what that team is looking for as well. So
Mhm.
somebody would ask you about your leadership or your management style, but you can also go back to them. An interview is a two-way thing. You always have to remember that, and you can
Mhm.
ask them, what are they looking for in terms of that kind of leadership
Mhm.
style? What what has the leadership, or what has management been like, prior, and how did that work within the team? And what do
Mhm.
they need? to move forward, in order to bring that cohesion and bring that productivity.
Mhm.
But I digress. What I like to see when I'm speaking to somebody and interviewing them for like a leadership position, I really want to hear them say, I will listen. I want first part is listening to your team, you know, actually understanding who is under your leadership. Because if you got to think of it, I don't want to sound silly, but like a car, there's lots of parts to a car.
Mhm.
And if
Yeah,
all parts are working perfectly, you've got a well-oiled machine that can go for absolutely ages. But if you've got a kink in there, then it may still run, but it may not be as productive and efficient as you want. So kind of bringing the analogy back, it's if you are managing a team and you've got people who are maybe disgruntled or really aren't enjoying what they're doing or don't feel that they're getting enough attention from leadership, or they don't feel that they can progress in the organization, that can create chinks within the machine. And so it's really important for a leader to be able to speak to their employees, speak to their direct reports, understand who they are, understand the problems that have been going, if there are any, but also create that psychological safety, that space that
such an
allows
important
them
piece. Yeah,
to talk. Yeah. And then that's how you're going to get the best out of your employees. So if
yes.
I'm listening to somebody interview, I want to hear that. That's really important to do.
Yeah, psychological safety is really all the rage right now, and it's so important. Um, like going back to the kind of the articles I've written on leadership and the old school and new school leadership and everything. The
Yes. Yeah.
real, the real, the real issue is you when there's a leader that really doesn't listen and really wants them to just comply. Right? And
Yes.
just like really, it's just here's my order, and I don't care about what you think. I've ordered you to do such and such. And then that's like where I got the really what I wrote in my article is actually from Simon Sinek,
Okay.
which was about it was a general on a submarine, which knew submarines really really well, and before he was on the submarine, he studied the submarine and knew all the different pieces of it,
Yeah.
right? And then when his time came, his mission came, um, they switched the submarine on. And
Mm.
so the crew had all the information of the submarine, and he did not.
Okay.
So he was relying on his strength. The leader, the general,
Yeah.
was relying on the strength of his orders because he knew the submarines really well. And so at one point, he was like saying, "Okay, move forward. 3/4."
Yeah.
And the team knew that that couldn't happen because they had all the information about what's going on
Yes.
with this ship.
Thank you.
They knew the ship,
Yeah.
and he said move on 3/4, and he couldn't. They
Thank
couldn't
you.
do that, but the team didn't want to like cause a disruption because he didn't want to. They didn't want him to think that they were not complying with his orders, so they just didn't say anything. And
Yeah.
what happened was there was a problem.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
So it talks to listening to your team or when they know something about a situation and not just ordering people around.
Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. Why are you going to you want to promote you want to promote the compromise. You want to promote conversation and psychological safety.
Mhm.
If you don't, you could go into an iceberg. Go
Yeah, you go
even
to
the whole
that.
Titanic.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, and let one thing we always have to remember is that leaders, managers, they are human beings. They're not like
yeah,
some like stop putting them on a pedestal. They're not like people that don't eat, breathe, and do everything that we do. They're not machines. They're humans. So even they're gonna have a dip in terms of knowing how to maybe direct you. And so, but having the team that knows what they're doing already, it helps them. It gives them confidence, that him or her, that it gives them confidence of, being able to lead you successfully, because they don't have to think about other things, and they could think about what the next step's going to be as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then something I'm really passionate about. I really love personality types, and something I use a lot in my coaching is personality types, and I use the Strength Finders, Myers Briggs, and the Kobe as different personality type systems,
Yeah.
and you know I think it's great because a couple things, right? Personality assessment is only really going to tell you something that you already agree with and believe about yourself.
Thank you. Yeah.
And how am I supposed to guide and lead you if I don't know you, right?
Yeah.
So here's a personality system that can tell us both about something you already agree with for yourself, and maybe something even more that you forgot that this system is pulling up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you know
You,
that's all
you,
like, and then that's all like also creating team synergies. If you understand that one person is very technical, very detail oriented, there's another person that's very big picture, and then
yeah.
we can bring together these different types of people, so that we create
Yeah.
good synergy.
Exactly. How do we encourage that more? Because what I see a lot, and I'm completely with you, I am a believer. I definitely am, for exactly the reasons that you mentioned. But I hear, I see and hear, a lot of people take the test and they're like, yeah, this is fantastic. I know who I am, and kind of, my main kind of traits, which is good. And then they'll either put it down, or they'll press the X at the top of the screen, and they won't look at it, rather than reading further and
Yeah,
thinking, how can I, kind of, how do I now view the world with this new information, and how can I interact and change maybe my level of influence, or whatever
mhm,
within your organization. I don't think people do that enough. And so, yeah, really, well, your key skills,
yeah.
Coach Dave, is yeah, um, there's a real great opportunity there, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and so one of the big things is like I'm really interested. I'm really interested in the Myers Briggs,
Mm.
Carl Jung's theories and things like that. But what I noticed is, Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, had no intention of any of his theories being used for hiring, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that was kind of the issue.
Mm.
It's like that's not what I use for. So that's why I get more into the Kobe, and the Kobe was actually created more for hiring, and that assesses more like your instinctive ways you take action. I've been using that a lot more recently, because it's a lot more effective in the workplace.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
um, so there's definitely that. And yeah, so let's see. Kind of moving forward here. There was some other. Oh, talking about your. Let's talk about your like achievements, the
Okay.
achievements, and like how 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 you're talking about that, right? Because that was one of the things that I was talking about with you as well, and um,
Yeah.
there's two different systems I think that a lot of people think about, like two different frameworks.
Okay.
Um, there's the one that's more common, most people know about. It's like that STAR method for
Mm.
interviewing. A lot of people heard about this,
Yeah.
and this actually came out in the 1970s. It's actually kind of old,
Wow.
and most
Wow.
people don't realize that. It's like they think it's like a recent thing. It's like it came out in the 70s. It's like pretty old now.
Fair enough. Some things won't change, I
Some
guess.
things have
But
changed. But then the system that I use for resume writing, and the people that work with me on it see that, oh, I can see how this relates to interviewing, is the Scampy method. That's what I use.
okay.
Um, and that it gets into more details, particularly like using the metrics on the resume to, talk about your accomplishments, with like
Yes.
a time metric and like a money metric, you
Yeah.
know. 'Cause that's
That's
like a
good.
big piece, you know?
I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it helps you to go into quite a lot of depth to allow you to communicate it, then
Yeah.
win-win. Absolutely.
I mean, when you see a resume, you typically want to see the results, right? You want to say, I helped this company. Like one of my previous clients was like, in 8 years, we increased the budget from 1 million to 5 million, and
Phenomenal.
sales increased from 2.2 million to 9.7 million. Um,
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
like a money metric and a time metric. That's what people want to see, right?
Yeah. You have to quantify. You have to, you know, data is the new currency. So, let's talk in everyday data, and yeah, numbers. It just helps you visualize. It helps people quantify, and the interviewer that you're speaking to can and then actually visualize the greatness that you've achieved. And one thing I always say, don't hesitate to put numbers in it, and don't hesitate to show. It's your opportunity to show off a little bit. It's
Yeah,
it's what
yeah.
you've done. It's your achievement. So that is another thing that sets you apart from everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. And then I work with people a lot on the coaching angle of like pulling that out of them. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah,
people are like humble, and it's okay. I like humble people. I like nothing wrong with humble
yeah,
people. But you want to pull that out a little bit more. You want to,
yeah,
talk about, hey, you did these great things. Like, have you been recording it? Have you been like documenting for the last 5 years
yeah,
of like what you've been doing? You
yeah.
know, it's good practice. Uh,
Exactly.
things
And
like that.
it's amazing. Sorry to talk over you on that one, but what I was trying to say is you totally forget how many good things you do on a day-to-day
Yeah,
basis.
yeah,
Like you downplay it. You act like it's just a normal thing, and it could be, but you know some things need to be celebrated, and so when you have that list, and over time, trust me, you will have a list of things, and now then that should hopefully make you feel good. So if you are humble, like Coach Dave said, like read your list. One, that will help you combat imposter syndrome, because you should be like, yeah, okay, I actually did this. This was me that done it. But
yeah,
also, you've got lots of things to choose from. So it shouldn't be that whole dragging all the achievements out. If you do it in time, you shouldn't have to drag anything out, because it's right there and you can use it really easily as well.
yeah. Totally, totally. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there's an issue there, with just people not seeing their greatness. You
Yeah,
know, and it's funny because I was speaking with another client, and I was like, we were talking about, okay, so what's your 1 year goal, for this position? Like, let's
yeah,
talk about like where you wanna go and everything, and what type of position you really want, and all these things like that. And that's almost like I was like blinded by the light of that. So like, I was like blinded by the light. Like, I don't even know. I just want a position right now, whatever I can get right now.
yeah,
In the
yeah.
next like 14
Well,
days, if I get my position, it was like, let's why just get something, whatever you get? Let's do something inspiring, like something
yeah,
like a company you really love. It's like,
yeah.
nah, I don't want to do that. It's too much. It's too much.
Well, I mean that kind of puts us onto our next kind of topic, but we'll talk about that later, about the reasons. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean. I do
You
know
know
what
what I
you mean.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Um, but yeah, so that's what I do on the Scampi kind of document.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to use that. I'll be honest. I'll hold my hands up. I haven't used the Scampi method
Most people
myself.
haven't. Most people haven't.
Yeah. I just literally just have a. I'm old school. I've got a pad. I know how to use a computer, but I still like pads. And then I transfer
It
it
might
over
be, but
at the
there's
end of the month.
there's yeah, there's something to say about that, right? Let's go deeper into that, because I also like paper and pencil. Um, and so there's a couple things. First of all, I think all recruiters just like that, like
Yeah.
paper and pencil kind of feel.
Even
Um,
if it's scribble, but you still understand what you write.
um,
Yeah.
but there's like a kinesthetic feeling to that too. It's like, you know, there's a lot of things to that. Like there's actual handwriting, the feeling of handwriting is different than typing.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and then like each letter is like different, and everyone has their own unique handwriting.
Yeah. Like I like to write lists at the start of every day, or I do it like sometimes, well, mostly at the end of the day, but then in the morning I realize I've got a few extra things to do. So I add it in the
Yeah,
morning. And then but I do it, I definitely handwrite it because I've tried to use a computer and like on the computer you just click the X and it'd be like task done. But it's so unsatisfying. But when you get your pen and you just go like that, you're like, yeah, I've done it. And
yeah,
then you mean like, there's a psychological thing to it. There really
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Completely
I'm a
agree
bit
with
weird.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a psychological thing to that, and then there's also the idea of just like seeing your goals written down in your own handwriting is something
Yes.
big. The computer kind of like um creates this like just a sea of sameness. It's like every letter is the same. Every letter is
Thank you.
typed the same way. Yeah.
It's like for me, it's like a textbook. If I if I've like it brings back scary memories from being at school, like and having to read like heavy textbook, and then you just like drift off, and you just drift off, and then you just drift off. But and I know it's really important, so I need to
Yeah.
actually like
Yeah.
read this. So yeah, but doing it in your own writing, it's like you said, it's different. It's more human,
More
and
human.
it feels more intentional.
Mm,
um, there's more intent. There's more intent to achieve it, I'd say. Even though
totally.
in a weird way it's not, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes I have to rewrite my notes on the computer anyway.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Because you can't
Yeah.
just like ship a piece of paper to someone. Like, I,
Do like the old school carrier pigeons and
yeah, I mean,
just put a little note.
I think we should
Uh,
hire some carrier pigeons, man. Like,
I
someone's got to keep that alive.
oh yeah,
Like the
yeah.
old school way of doing things, like also like leather working for shoes. I like wearing leather shoes. It's like to find someone to work on like leather shoes, it's impossible. I was like one every like 100 miles. It's like every
Oh yeah.
200 miles. It's like who works on like shoe repair anymore? Just buy new shoes. It's like
Yeah, yeah. That's we all got our little things, definitely. But it does
yeah,
make a big difference to how we approach things, isn't it? And
yeah.
yeah, it's yeah. I won't say it's weird. It's just unique. Everyone's different. That's a good
And
thing.
that's what makes it great. That's what makes it great.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a uniqueness. That's what makes this great. And that makes it
Definitely.
stand out too. That makes it stand
Yeah,
out.
it does. It really does.
Mhm.
And do you know what? Sorry to segue on that on this point, but the standing out part, I really want people to start reaching out to recruiters because they don't. If you haven't heard anything, and you've applied for a role, reach out to them because anybody that reaches out to
Oh,
me,
I
they
love
are
this.
automatically in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, right, what how can I help? What can I do? Can I give any information? Who can I connect you with? And it also just shows that they're really, really keen and they're really serious about the position and they really want to join the organization you're working for. So yeah, sorry, kind of segued, but you know, yeah,
I think
it's really
that's a
important.
great topic. I like this topic because some people have this thing in their mind that it's like they're desperate. Oh, I'm not going to reach out because that makes them seem too desperate.
No,
You
no.
know, it's
Maybe
like
17 messages, but
maybe some, yeah,
but yeah.
but yeah, it's sending a message out is not desperate. And it's like the example I always like to make is, you know, McDonald's or Subway or Burger King. They're you got those advertisements like every single commercial break. It's like, are they desperate? Are they desperate? Like
Yeah,
maybe they're just marketing themselves.
yeah, exactly. Always personal branding,
Yeah,
constantly.
yeah, exactly. Maybe they're just personal branding. Exactly. So
Go on.
that's something I like to talk about too, because I think that there's a something in people's head that they should not send any messages out. They should be coming to me, and it's like send a message. Who
Get
cares?
it out there. Exactly. If you, they're not going to know you if you don't approach them. So, only good things come to you if you make things happen in that sense. And
Yeah,
it's exactly the same. Yeah.
yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I like that. Oh, I knew that, but that's why we got along. A lot of similarities, but
Yeah.
um, yeah. Also, what about I guess what motivates candidates? That's always a good one.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, I like this topic. Is
Yeah.
yeah, really, really, I like it
Yeah.
because
Good.
yeah,
Tell me more
yeah.
about it. Tell me more.
Well,
Tell
I
me more
mean,
about
what I'm always interested to understand kind of what motivates a candidate. Um, and I can only think about what motivates me in a sense, but it could be so many different things. And I think that if you're a recruiter or you're a hiring manager, it's very dangerous to assume that everybody is just looking for money. And
it. Mm,
don't get me wrong, I mean, nobody will. I don't think there's many people that will say no to more money or,
yeah.
a lovely salary increase, but there's going to be a lot more factors. And I think a really lazy thing to do as a recruiter or hiring manager is, yeah, assume everyone is exactly the same. And what I always remind myself and what I want people to remember is that your motivations don't stay for the whole of your life. Your motivations can change throughout your life, depending on the stage in which you are in your life. For example, I started off and I needed to find a job immediately after university.
Mm,
Money was a huge thing, and I started chasing that as much as possible. And then
mm,
for me, I realized that I do like money, it helps me buy things, but I actually want to work in an organization that I can see myself developing, so I can professionally develop, or I want to be in an organization where I've got a good culture and I feel kind of safe to be myself, and or I could be in an organization where a manager really believes in me, and that
mm,
makes me want to work doubly hard for them and myself and do even more. So there's so many different things that could motivate you in the workplace, and I think that by understanding that as recruiters and also as hiring managers, we can make that sell so much better. We can really influence people into the organization that we're working for by understanding that motivation. Because you could work for a financial services firm and you may provide good money in terms of salaries. And that's the only thing that people may think about you for. But then you
mm,
could actually have a fantastic culture. You could have great employee networks that really think about your equity and think about, protecting you and thinking about you as an employee, as an individual. But
mm,
then they don't know about it. But then you as the candidate wouldn't know about it. But if you are the recruiter and you can ask them what their motivations are, and not get surprised or upset if they say something that you're not expecting, but actually listen and come back with a solution that will hopefully be your organization. Oh my Jimmy's, it's really, really, I don't know why I said that. But but honestly, that's it's gold, it's magic. It's
yeah,
I went off
no,
a tangent there, but yeah.
no, I loved your excitement on it. So I wanted to hear it. Yeah, totally. Um, yeah, no, it's such a big thing, and as a coach, a career coach on this, I have a whole like a lifestyle mapping document, and it's like um not many recruiters I think really go through that, and look, you know, there's a difference between a recruiter and a career coach, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between those two things. But at the same time, um, spending some more time on motivations is really key. like because it's about, it's not just like you said, not just about the money, it's about the lifestyle. You know, are they is the company going to be flexible with you if you have kids? Are they going, can you leave at 3:30 to pick up your kids? Like that's
Yeah,
something that's like important to you, right? Your kids.
yeah. Honestly, like I think I say this to my wife and a few of my friends. It's like you know, where I work, I go into the office you know, once or twice a week, and I can't even believe we worked 5 days a week in the office before the pandemic. And I know it sounds silly to say because I did it for many years and
Yeah,
didn't like flick an eyelid or flutter an eyelid at all. I did it and I was happy and started building a career. But I don't think I could ever go back to it. And people are very different. You know, some people really enjoy being in the office full time. Some people don't. So, you know,
mhm,
having that flexibility is important because that it then means that many people with lots of different motivations and lots of different, you know, expectations and wants can be satisfied, you know, by that. But yeah, like it's crazy. I think, you know, I'm hearing in the banking industry that, you know, there's a couple of institutions that are trying to force people into, you know, working 3 or 4 days a week. And a
yeah,
lot of people are leaving because they just can't go back to that because either they've got used to working from home and then that shouldn't mean you work less. I just want to say that. But also, but if you've got responsibilities, then you can't go back to what it was before. You have to be accommodated, and then you
yeah.
end up working extra hard because you really
That's what I'm saying.
appreciate
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Out of appreciation, I've seen that so
yeah,
many times.
yeah,
Um, where it's like when you actually create, well, the companies are supposed to create again the environment which has psychological safety, which encourages them to do the things that they want to do with their life and finish what they have to do for the company. And
exactly.
it's like the idea of being supported. Like if you feel supported by your partner, you want to work harder for your partner.
Yeah,
If you feel
exactly.
supported by your company, you want to work harder for your company.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's just the idea of feeling supported, and that could be, you know, supported with the flexibility. You know, it's, you know, you're responsible at the end of the day. You get the work done. That's not
exactly.
what we're talking about. It's just about being more flexible with the things that are important to me, and then I can be more flexible with things that are important to you. Um,
Exactly.
and I mean, there are some things where, like, you know, like sometimes, like, there's a hiring process that we've been doing, and we might not be able to change this hiring process because this is like, this is what the hiring process is. Some things
Yeah,
can't be changed, right?
yeah,
We have to do our due diligence, or, you know, we're a big company, we have checks and balances, we have to do these things. We can't just
yeah,
change the whole entire hiring process, you know, for you in this situation. You know, so that's an example of, like, not, we can't be flexible in that end, but,
yeah,
like, because, you know, there's the checks and balances in a big organization that need to be checked.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so there's that was an example of, like, no flexibility, but there's the examples where there could be flexibility. Um, and so there's that, and then, you know, something I do with, like, people I coach and everything is, like, identifying. Like, a lot of times it's just like becoming conscious, becoming aware of what it means. Like, what does a toxic culture mean to you?
Yes, thank you,
What,
thank you.
you know, what does a thriving positive culture mean to you? Right? You have to
Yeah,
identify these things because actually I think it
yeah.
means different things to different people.
It does. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh my, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. It completely does. Um, again,
So
everyone's individual.
yeah,
Again, what is happiness in life? It's your own, it's your own understanding.
yeah.
It's yeah, exactly.
So
Um,
it's one of those interesting things. So yeah, and then, you know, another thing we talk about is, okay, having these motivations and then ranking them. Where's what's the order? You know,
yeah,
company culture first, flexibility second, money third. What's
Yeah,
the order? You know,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
also another big piece.
exactly. And that's like we said earlier, that's gonna keep changing. It
Yeah,
could change over time, as well. So it's always important to keep reviewing that.
totally. All right. Well, that's it for our conversation today. This has been
Thank,
David March.
yeah, I'm Alex Trusty, and thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
And yeah, this has been great. I think we covered a lot of concepts and topics on the career landscape. And look out for you next time. See ya.
Take care.